You guys have been very curious to see how Shadow Generations would fare in my 3D Sonic level ranked video. I'm happy to oblige by making a Shadow Generations level ranking using the same criteria as the previous video. So let's do it! Coming in at number 13, Chaos Island Act 2. This is an easy pick for the weakest level in the game. Originally, I was going to include all the extra missions to pad out the runtime of the video, but I thought that they were all obviously going to be at the bottom of the list, so I figured I'd just keep it to the point and focus on the main levels. For every stage, excluding Radical Highway, the second act takes place entirely in 2D. As you'll see, for all the other Act 2s, this doesn't make the level bad by any means, but for Chaos Island, this one was a real miss. Both acts of Chaos Island make heavy use of the Doom Morph power. But in 2D, I don't think it's that fun to use. Its application feels pretty limited as you jump from one purple sludge pool to another, so that's already half the level down the drain if you don't find the core mechanic that interesting. But then, the second half has this elevator thing where it goes down when you stand on it and it goes up when you jump, and you need to navigate it through these obstacles. I think Sonic games are at their most fun when the player's gameplay dictates the pace of the level. Sections like this are the exact opposite of that. I don't think Chaos Island Act 2 is a badly made level, nor is it unenjoyable per se. I just couldn't give it a lot of points. There's a lot of automated bits, so it's not going to score high in speed, platforming is pretty predictable, and I've only played this level like 4 times since the game came out. Once while beating the game, next to get the Doom Wing S rank, and a third time when I wanted to play every level again, and a fourth for this video, when I've played every other stage like over a dozen times. So therefore, I gave it no points for replayability. Easy shoe-in for the worst level. But before I even think of getting to that next level, I know what you're thinking. This video could really use an ad, and I definitely agree, which is why I decided to partner with Castle Duels to be the sponsor of today's video. Castle Duels is a free-to-play, PvP card-based strategy game for iOS and Android. In it, players experience tower defense gameplay elements as you have over 30 unique units to summon in battles against other players. When starting the game, I thought the tutorials summed up the mechanics pretty succinctly, but well enough to where I understood how to play in battles. I also got paired against another player really quickly too. Between rounds, you summon creatures with mana that you get from completed rounds and can merge units of the same type together to become even stronger. The merges yield you more mana to bring in more units to the board. It was pretty simple, but I thought it was fun too. Anyone who enjoys strategy-type games and online competitive battles will definitely enjoy this. And now they're hosting their Winter Wonderland holiday event where players can collect decorative cards, earn unique rewards, and try getting cool prizes with a festive roulette. If you want in on this action, which I know you do, you'd best mosey on over to the link in the description and/or the pinned comment or scan the QR code in the screen. You can also get a special welcome bonus. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Number 12. Tokyo. One of the perks of doing a video like this is I can use it as a chance to talk about the new DLC level for Shadow Generations. On December 12th, we got the movie DLC, a whole stage and 2 challenge acts based on Sonic the Hedgehog 3, releasing in theaters this weekend. The stage is based on the Tokyo battle that Team Sonic has with Shadow in the film when they first meet him. I don't know the full context of the stage because the movie isn't out yet at time of writing, but we have seen enough to know that's what the level's from. Unfortunately, it ranks towards the bottom of the list. Speed and platforming both got a 2 because I think the stage is good when you play as Shadow, but not the best the game has to offer. There are spots to use the Spear Glide and Chaos Control. You can go pretty fast. Not a lot of it's automated, and there are multiple paths and angles to play the stage from. I played it 3 times back to back and thought it was an enjoyable level, but definitely the worst 3D level in the game because of cutscenes. Halfway through, Shadow's on top of a train and gets chased by a chopper, and he deflects the missile back at it. This is a sick cutscene, exactly the kind of spectacle I want from Sonic, however it's unskippable and lasts like 40 seconds. And then the stage ends with a chopper chase on a grind rail. If you have Chaos Control, you can completely cheese the section, and it also goes on for several seconds and ends with a cutscene. I love sick cutscenes, don't get me wrong, but in the middle of a stage, having some way to skip it would be nice. I feel the same about the cutscenes in the main game stages, but those are much shorter than this. After 3 runs, these cutscenes were a major thing that dragged the stage down. If they weren't in it, the level would have been less than 2 minutes long, making it one of the shortest stages in the game. And the content you're left with isn't fun enough to merit a high score. It's not a bad level, it's fun the first few times, but it's not excellent and is nothing compared to the other 3D levels in the game. Also, while it's cool Keanu Reeves played Shadow for this, his game voice acting was not great. Hope that's no indication of how the movie's gonna be. But yeah, that's all I got for Tokyo. Number 11. Rail Canyon Act 2. So now we're in the range of stages I think are pretty good, just not amazing. Rail Canyon Act 2 does give players a lot to engage with during its runtime. For example, it has multiple pathways to take and jump on right from the beginning, and you get to put Chaos Control, Chaos Spear, and the Doom Spear to use in multiple ways while playing the stage. However, where it loses points is it being Rail Canyon. Here's the thing. Revolving an entire Sonic level around grind rails is risky business. In Shadow Generations, both levels are at least good. However, rail grinding in Sonic games has been a very automated mechanic for far longer than it ever wasn't. So levels built around it will lose a bit of points because a lot of the time is sitting on the rail and jumping. I can expand on it more later, but I also think 2D is inherently limiting for these controls, so for that reason, while I think Rail Canyon Act 2 has a lot of right stuff in it, the riding on rails in 2D caused it to lose points. Number 10. Sunset Heights Act 2. This is a level that's doing a lot I really like. The way it's designed is just fantastic. Players with a good handle on the Doom Blast can take the higher routes and clear the stage much faster than they would on the ground. To keep on top of that, you need to take these homing attack trails to the highest route, which is also a great callback to Shadow's gameplay in Sonic Forces, where he could do that as well. I think Sunset Heights Act 2 is littered with intelligent level design choices, both inside and out. Like using Chaos Control to avoid the attacks of the Death Egg robots, or using the Doom Surf to barrel through these boxes in the sewer. Where it loses me is just that it being 2D does hold it back from its full potential in the speed category, and I just don't come back to it as often as some of the other stages, but it was good enough to earn a perfect score in the platforming department. Number 9. Space Colony Arc Act 2. This is where the levels start getting really good. While Space Colony Arc Act 2 is 2D, it is a lot of fun to experience. There are moments that are automated cutscenes where Shadow gets chased by missiles, but the moments of interactivity really help sell me on the game early on. I thought the 3D stuff looked good, and Act 1 confirmed that, but in Act 2, they're able to do great stuff with the mechanics, and I was pretty impressed by that in the first playthrough. Such as this level showing you can use Chaos Control to stand on missiles in 2D sections, which allows you to reach higher routes and clear the stage faster. It also makes great use of the Doom Wings, too, as you fly through enemies. It only loses points because the great bits are only really fun the first couple times, so I don't make it a priority to replay it compared to the 3D stages. Number 8. Rail Canyon Act 1. This is a great level for the most part. Right at the beginning, skilled players can make use of the Spear Glide to get great distances and time saves. Spear gliding is the act of using the Chaos Spear to continue Shadow's air momentum, since otherwise you fall shortly after jumping and air boosting, which was something I complained about in my original review of Shadow Generations. But for spear gliding, all the 3D acts make fantastic use of this, what I assume is a glitch. Rail Canyon Act 1 has a lot of moments I like. Chaos Control is used often in this stage, and it's really well done. Like this one part where these robots will destroy the rails leading to different paths, but if you use Chaos Control to stop time, you can reach the path before it blows. There's a lot of moments that require you to react fast, like enemies needing to be stunned before you can homing attack them, and lots of opportunities to use the Doom Wings as well. It loses 1 point, and only 1 point, for 2 reasons. One is what I already said in Act 2. Grinding on rails isn't that interesting in Sonic games. It's fine enough in this stage, but it's not as fun as other levels. The other reason it lost a point is because this level, Space Colony Arc Act 1, and Sunset Heights Act 1 all have a part halfway through where Black Doom transports Shadow to Radical Highway, which happens in a cool cutscene that you can't skip. So it's not as replayable as levels that don't do this, but otherwise, I thought the level was enough of a winner to get a near perfect score. Number 7. Kingdom Valley Act 2. This is easily the best 2D level in the game, as evidenced by it getting a perfect score. The first perfect score on the list, in fact. What I really appreciate about Kingdom Valley Act 2 is just how much content they cram into a shorter 2D level. Like this line of rings going down at the beginning. Doing a stomp gives you access to a spring that takes you to a higher route. The Doom Blast is used often in this level to allow Shadow to ascend to higher routes with ease, and proper Chaos Control usage, or just good timing, makes it easy to get through crushing block sections like it ain't no thing. Kingdom Valley Act 2 is just really rewarding to play over and over. It's the only 2D level in the game where I still enjoy replaying it over and over and felt like it was right up there with the best 3D stages. The only thing I really have against it is just the 2D aspect. But it's important to note, that's not because I don't like 2D inherently. I love many 2D games, and I have never really criticized the 2D sections of Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, and Sonic Generations. And I think I finally know why. In those games, the controls and levels were more designed around moving really fast and reacting to obstacles, so in their best 2D sections, you traveled really fast and reacted to obstacles in a way I thought was satisfying. The controls of Sonic Frontiers and Shadow Generations are more floaty and slow. It can be fun to mess around with in 3D, but in 2D it feels like a limitation. Kingdom Valley Act 2 from Shadow Generations standing out because it was able to push past that limitation. Number 6. Radical Highway Act 1. This level's really strong, obviously given it getting a perfect score. However, when thinking of what 3D act that got a perfect score was going to be at the bottom of the list, my mind kept coming back to this one. But let's start with the strengths. This is the level where Shadow unlocks the Doom Wings as a permanent upgrade. One of the best things about Shadow Generations is how the designers knew this was a completely broken power-up, letting players fly over the entire stage if they had the rings and boost to make it happen. So to compensate, each level has two variants, a Doom Wing version and a Doom Wing free version where the ability is disabled. Both versions have completely different S-rank requirements, doubling the fun you can have mastering the game, since players who would rather have a more challenging, skill-oriented S-rank experience, and the Doom Wing free version gives you that, and others would rather just break the game, and that's what the Doom Wings allow. Your first run of these Radical Highway stages will be with the Doom Wings, and those runs are fun, but I definitely recommend going back and playing both acts of Radical Highway without the Doom Wings because they're quite challenging if you do. They're the final levels and are suspended over bottomless pits. Your spear gliding and timing needs to be really tight to get through these stages, and you really need to optimize your route to get through quickly because the levels will not take any prisoners when getting the S rank without the wings. Now, the reason I ranked it lower than the other 3D levels is because I think Act 1 of Radical Highway feels kind of empty. I don't know if anyone else felt this way, but the original stage it's based on was full of explosions and jets and missiles and dynamic camera angles. This version, it has black arm enemies, but I don't know, it feels really dark and desolate. It doesn't really feel as lively as the original or Act 2 from this very game, which is also not like the original, but is packed full of visuals to the point where I don't mind. Number 5. Sunset Heights Act 1. This level was incredible and remains so on each repeat run. Taking a level from Sonic Forces that was pretty standard fare for that game, not good, and making it something really fun. Like right at the beginning, the Death Egg robots are chucking debris at Shadow and you can use your Chaos Control to freeze time and use the debris to reach a higher route. Later, you'll face these enemies, and if you kill them with your spear, you'll have enough Chaos Control to reveal a hidden enemy that you can Doom Blast into a higher route. It is jam-packed with cool cutscenes and substantive gameplay. The cutscenes are also short enough to where it doesn't detract from my want to replay the stage. This level also has, perhaps, the best Radical Highway interlude as it puts the Doom Blast to great use in multiple instances. It's just a fantastic stage from start to finish. Number 4. Space Colony Arc Act 1. Gotta give credit to the first stage of the game because it's the first impression people will have of Shadow Generations and it was soaring out the gates. It has every hallmark of a great Shadow Gens level. Fantastic level design with lots of different routes and collectibles, lots of room for spear gliding, Chaos Control, and the Doom Wings, and it gives you a lot to experience on repeat runs. Like this massive hall that leads to 2 different paths that take you to different parts of the next room. The higher one taking more skill to get to and cutting down your runtime. Perfect Sonic level design trope. The Radical Highway cutscene is a little too long, but the section that follows it more than makes up for it as it's also fun to play. I think this is a flawless level and a fantastic intro to the game. Number 3. Chaos Island Act 1. This level is a bit of a tricky one. Your enjoyment of it entirely depends on how usable you think the Doom Morph is. In my original review, I said I thought Chaos Island Act 1 was one of the lesser favorite levels because of how most of the stage used it. But once you get to grips with it, things really change. To launch up, you pull back on the stick and then let go of the button. That was game-changing knowledge for me because it's just an unwieldy power-up for the first-time player. But like I said, when you understand how it works, you see that Chaos Island Act 1 is a masterpiece of a stage. One thing it has going for it is that there's no Radical Highway interlude like in Space Colony Arc, Rail Canyon, and Sunset Heights. So you get an uninterrupted speed platforming experience where you just dash over the entire level at lightning speed with all your techniques, both dev intended and otherwise. Using the Doom Wings in this level is really satisfying since the layout is designed perfectly where you can use it at the right angles and skip platforming sections at the end. Some commented on my other ranking video asking why that's a good thing, and the answer is that because Sonic is about speed and precision, right? So a newbie player will go through slower routes and platforming, but being skilled enough at Sonic to dash over them like it's nothing, there are few gaming experiences quite like that as you shave your clear time down second by second with each subsequent run. And that's why games that hand the ability to skip stage chunks out like candy will rank lower. Because then it's not fun anymore. It taking skill is the fun part. Needless to say, I really like this level now. It's just not my absolute favorite. Number 2. Radical Highway Act 2. I didn't think much of this level when I first played it, but when trying to get the S ranks, I came to really love this level, specifically the version without the Doom Wings. You can get a lot of exciting skips with the wings, but without, getting the S rank makes you feel like a gaming guru. There are so many hidden paths in this level just barely out of sight, even right at the beginning. The level is a few minutes long, and if you want the S rank, you need to do most, if not all, the skips, and many of them are pretty perilous. Your whole run rests in the balance each time, but finding ways to spear glide over the big black arm enemies is super cool, or using the remains of one to Doom Blast to a higher route. It's a worthy final level and a super tough S rank. The first time a 3D Sonic game has had a banger final level since Sonic Unleashed. And it pulls it off without becoming too much like the last level of Unleashed arguably was. But while this is a super badass final level, it's not my favorite in the game. I'm sure you predicted what was from a mile away though. Number 1. Kingdom Valley Act 1. This level just embodies everything you want in a Sonic stage. When I first saw this level in pre-release footage, I was pretty impressed. But playing it is a whole nother experience. It was a level that's so open-ended, so dense with content to replay and enjoy, and so well-paced that it was the first time where I was like, my god, this game isn't just good, it's the first great Sonic Team game in over a decade. Kingdom Valley Act 1 is just everything this video has talked about thus far, but at their best. With spear gliding, without spear gliding, with Doom Wings, without Doom Wings, it doesn't matter. This level is just so well considered from a design perspective. If you think there's a way the devs might have squeezed in a skip, they did, like bouncing on these tight ropes to go even higher to find a hidden route, or using the Doom Blast to get out of the water and find a chaos control path that instantly teleports you to the next section, or using the Doom Blast to go around certain stage elements to take up time. It's a fantastic level. I could play it over and over and not get sick of it. It also manages to do a great job paying homage to every element of the original stage. Some levels in Sonic Generations, like Speed Highway, only pay homage to certain parts of the original stage, not the whole thing. But here, you soar through the air on the Eagle like the original, and you also spend a decent chunk of time in the air like Shadow did in the glider on the original. But then you play parts in the water like Sonic and Silver did in the original. And they even have a tribute to the Mach Speed section from the end of Sonic's Kingdom Valley from the original game. Unfortunately not the music, but close enough. I think Kingdom Valley Act 1 is peak 3D Sonic excellence, and that's why it's the best level in the game and the highest on the list. Yeah! And that's pretty much that. There's only 13 levels in this game, and until about a week ago there were only 12, so the video naturally isn't super long or anything. What we have learned here is that Shadow Generations is pretty freaking based, and you should definitely play it and master it. Plus, this video let me talk about the Tokyo DLC, so lots of wins here today. I also hope everyone got the video they were asking for when they were asking where these levels would rank in my previous video. I'm sure some are wondering what exact placements they'd get in that video, but now I'm gonna let you in on a little trade secret. From me at least, the actual order is pretty goddamn arbitrary. It's basically a reflection of how I felt that day. Some comment about how Final Chase's placement was criminally low, but that was the score I felt like giving it in the moment. But now, yeah, I'd probably rank it way higher than Crazy Gadget, which placed several spots higher on the list. It was more of a vibes thing. What's far more solid and important is the actual score. The way I've made these thus far, I give the stages a score out of however many points, and then I take all the levels with the same score and just order them from least favorite to favorite based on vibes. Work your way up from 0 to whatever the highest score is and you're done. So with that said, Sonic Heroes and Sonic Colors were the first games on the perfect score list. I'd say every perfect score from Shadow Gens beats those levels from Heroes and Colors for me, and I'd say everything from Sunset Heights Act 1 and up probably beat the best scoring levels from SA 1 and 2. But then, where they rank amongst the top scoring Unleashed and Generations levels, I don't know. Just know my top 5 from this list is somewhere in that top tier range from that video. But I'm gonna stop rambling now. That's basically all the time we have for today, in what is my final video for 2024. To close, I'd like to thank everyone for another fun year of videos. I was trying to take a little bit more of a laid-back approach to narration this year. Some liked it, some didn't. We'll see what sticks in next year's stuff, but until then, I'd like to end by saying what I always do. If you made it this far into the video, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.